We will chant one Om and then we'll say the prayer and then we'll start the practice. So today we are going to do a short practice because we want to accommodate the two guests. So let's begin by chanting the Om. Re Chak. Purak with friction in the throat. Hands in Namaste for the prayer. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now sit with your hands in Dhyan Mudra again, and we're going to practice the slow, silent, deep breathing, which is called Pranakarshan Kriya. So remember, we're going to breathe in for 8 counts, breathe out for 16, and for the last 2 times, we breathe in for 10 counts and breathe out for 20. So you need to really slow down your breath. Re Chak, Purak, Re Chak. Purak. Re Chak. Purak. Re Chak. Now 10 and 20. Purak. Re Chak. One more time. Purak. Re Chak. Breathe normally. Next we'll do the neck exercises, which are called Brahma Mudra. Remember, the first 3 are done with controlled breathing and the last 2 are done with normal breathing. Re Chak, Purak. Hold the breath and turn your head to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stretch the neck as much as you can. Come back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Re Chak. Purak. Hold the breath, turn to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stretch the neck as much as you can. And come back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Re Chak. Purak. Turn to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stretch. Come back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Re. Check. Purak. Turn to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stretch. Come back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Re. Check. Now for the next one, we drop our head to the left shoulder and the right shoulder. And when we drop our head to the left shoulder, we move our right arm away from our body, touch your fingers to the floor, and you'll find that you feel a better stretch on your neck. Rechak, Purak. Hold the breath, drop your head to the left shoulder and move your arm out to the right. Come back. Rechak. Purak. Hold the breath, drop your head to the right and hold your left arm out. Come back. Rechak. Purak. Head to the left, arm out to the right. Come back. Rechak. Purak. Drop your head to the right, arm out to the left. Come back. Rechak. For type 3, we are going to drop our head back, as far back as it will go. And we'll hold that for a few more seconds, because most of the time these days we are looking down at our iPads or iPhones. So we need to stretch the front of our neck a little more. Rechak. Purak. Hold the breath, drop your head back. Face the front. Rechak. Purak. Drop the head back. Face the front. Rechak. For the next two, which are done with normal breathing, first loosen your neck a little bit and do the gentle jerks with me, starting from the left, center, right, center, left, center, right, center, left, center, right, center. Stop. Now put your chin to the chest and we're going to do the 360 rotations. So keep your head moving the whole time, starting from the left, back, right and front. Left, back, right and front. Left, back, right and front. Now reverse that, starting from the right, back, left, front. Right, back, left, front. Right, back, left, front. Slowly raise your head, rub your palms together, steadily view your face and open your eyes. And next we're going to do the shoulder exercises. So remember not to move your hands on your lap, just focus on your shoulders, both together, up and back. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now place fingers of both hands on your shoulders, elbows together, touch them each time. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Reverse that. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Relax your arms and get ready to do the 5 Naman Mudras. For the first one, you're going to fold your hands at the heart center. With this Naman Mudra, we bow to the Supreme Divinity in the form of Earth. Om Prithve Namaha. Rechak. Urak. Raise your arms as you breathe in. Straighten your elbows. Rechak. As you breathe out, keep your arms right by your ears and bend forward. Stay with your arms outstretched for a few seconds. And now relax your body and your arms by bending your elbows. Breathe as normally as you can. When I say Rechak, you do 4 things all at once. You do a quick Rechak, a breath out. You raise your head to align it with the spine. You stretch your arms as they were before. And you apply the root lock, which means you pull in your anal muscles. Rechak. Urak. Come up as you breathe in with your arms right by your ears. Rechak. Breathe out completely. Bring your arms down. Now for Naman Mudra 2, we hold our right hand in the left, our elbows straight, our shoulders back to open up the chest. With this Naman Mudra, we bow to the Supreme Divinity in the form of water. Om Jalaya Namaha. Rechak. Urak. Rechak. Bend forward as you breathe out. Drop your head. Draw your hands up your back. Drop your elbows to relax the body. Breathe as normally as you can. Now remember the 4 things when I say Rechak, to be done all at once. Rechak. Urak. Come up as you breathe in. Rechak. Breathe out completely. Now for Naman Mudra 3, you interlock your fingers, hold your hands at the lowest part of your abdomen, your elbows close to the body. With this Naman Mudra, we bow to the Supreme Divinity in the form of fire. Om Agne Namaha. Rechak. Urak. Rechak. When you reach a spot, drop your elbows to help you relax the body. There's a lot more pressure on your abdomen, but remember that it's helping to tone and massage all the internal organs. Try to breathe as normally as you can. Remember the 4 things when I say Rechak. Rechak. Urak. Rechak. For Naman Mudra 4, you fold your arms behind your back and hold on to your opposite elbow. With this Naman Mudra, we bow to the Supreme Divinity in the form of air. Om Vayave Namaha. Rechak. Urak. Rechak. Bend forward from your hip joints to keep your back straight as you breathe out. Try to relax the body and breathe as normally as you can. When I say Rechak this time, because we didn't move our arms, you only need to do 3 things all at once. Rechak. Urak. Rechak. And for now, Naman Mudra 5, you fold your arms in front, hold the opposite elbow and you raise them as you breathe in, bend forward with your arms still above your head. With this Naman Mudra, we bow to the Supreme Divinity in the form of space. Om Akashaya Namaha Rechak Purak Rechak. Relax your body, breathe as normally as you can. Three things when I say Rechak. Rechak, Purak, Rechak. Bring your arms down as you breathe out. Now rub your palms together, spread the energy over your face, then stretch your legs out and we are just going to do today, sit in a cross-legged position by the way when you come back, and today instead of doing the 30 counts with each nostril and then the 60 in the middle, we are just going to do 40 in the middle because I want to give enough time to Kunal to talk about the food, and then we will have the other guest showing us the two kriyas that I'm going to talk about, and then if we have time we will all try to do the kriya that he taught us together if there is time. So first sit upright with your hands in Dhyan Mudra and we're going to do 40 counts of Kapalbhati with both nostrils. So today we're skipping the individual nostril Kapalbhati. We'll hold our breath in the exhale condition with our chin down for 16 counts, and when we breathe in, remember that we do Vayusar, hold that air in the mouth for a few seconds, then we gulp the air and the saliva and we breathe out through the nostrils. Get ready. Rechak, half Purak, and start. Hold your breath with your chin down. Vayusar Purak and hold. Gulp the air. Rechak. Purak. Rechak. Purak. Rechak. Rub the palms together, spread the energy over your face. And now I will introduce my husband Kunal to those of you who have not met him before. He's going to talk about the importance of food in the practice of yoga.
Good morning, namaste everybody. So I'm going to talk to you about the importance of food. And so the question of course comes up is why do we cover the topic of food in a yoga class or yoga course? And the reason for that is that yoga addresses a lot of our functional systems in the body, and the digestive system and the excretory system are also covered, and Chitra started talking about those yesterday, and we're going to cover a few more of those today as she mentioned. But in order to maintain those systems, it is also equally important to make sure that you eat right, that your diet is proper. And that really helps, of course, to manage those systems a lot better in conjunction with what we do in yoga. Now, it is said that you are what you eat. What that is suggesting is that it's very important, that what you eat is very important. The variables that come into play when you talk about what one eats is obviously the country you live in, what are the family traditions and what the family eats, so you end up eating those things. It depends on your health and it depends on religion, because some religions have restrictions of what you can and cannot eat. Our Guruji from Ambika Yoga, who started Ambika Yoga back in 1965 in India, he used to say that one should only eat the food that one can digest. Now you say, oh my, that's a very simplistic statement, but if you think about it for a moment, it is very deep. Because if in fact, after you've eaten, you find that you are feeling lethargic, you have acidity, you feel a sense of bloating, you feel discomfort, then clearly you've eaten the wrong amount of food, wrong quantity of food, or the wrong kind of food. So it's very important to manage that. Now I'm going to talk briefly about dieting. And basically there are out there a lot of what I call fad diets. So they try to promote, you're going to go really thin, you're going to look wonderful, stop eating this and stop eating that, eat only proteins and so forth. So they're very imbalanced diets, and I'm not suggesting that all of them are bad, I'm suggesting a lot of them are, so one needs to be careful what you do. Now there are some eating disorders which I'm sure you're aware of, and those are anorexia nervosa, bulimia. I'm sure you're familiar with those two. Both are eating disorders which people have because they have a desire to look extremely thin, look extremely beautiful, pretty, handsome, whatever it may be, but you want to look good, and as a result you say, I'm not going to eat that much. So you develop these eating disorders. In anorexia nervosa, what you do, you eat so little that you become extremely thin and unhealthy. In bulimia, for the same objective, what people do, some people, that is that after eating, they bring it up. So they get rid of the food. So that's how they maintain their weight. But that really is not good. It's a very bad thing to do. Another new term that I heard only a few years ago now is called orthorexia, which is very similar to anorexia and bulimia. And there it says that there are some people who become obsessed, absolutely obsessive to the idea of remaining really thin, eating not very much at all. And everything that they do, they're concerned about how is that going to affect me? That's orthorexia. So all these eating disorders are a problem. And if you follow those fad diets, you might in fact aggravate the problem further. Now that is not to say that dieting in itself is a bad thing. If you diet for a good reason, for example, if you're overweight and you need to lose weight, then of course it's a good thing to do, but sensible dieting. Or if you have to control certain things in your diet because of health issues such as diabetes or high blood pressure or cardiac problems, etc., then it's a good thing to do that you manage it well. Now talking about overweight and obesity has become a real problem. Childhood obesity in particular has become a problem, as you can well imagine, because these days the children eat a lot of wrong kinds of foods. They're always into fast food. They want to eat and run. And secondly, not all of them, I'm not saying all of them are that way, but a lot of them don't do enough exercise. They're too busy on their iPhone or their iPad all day. So there is a real obesity problem, overweight problem in North America. It is said that there's an epidemic. There's 66% of people in North America are overweight, and out of that, half of those, so 33% of the population, is obese. Obesity is defined as being 20 pounds above your normal weight. Now the question is, what is normal weight? Well, there's one measure, I'm sure a lot of you might have already have heard of it. It's called BMI, or body mass index. And how you measure body mass index is you take your weight in kilograms and divide it by your height in meters squared. So let me give you an example to in a very easy way describe that. If you weigh 90 kilos, for example, and your height is 2 meters, so then you divide 90 by 2 meters squared, which is 4, so 90 divided by 4, your BMI, your body mass index, therefore is 22.5. Now, by the way, if you go to the internet, you'll find lots of little BMI calculators from which you can do this calculation. But if you want to do it yourself, you can do it on the basis that I just described. So now it is said that your BMI, if it needs to be between 21 and 25, that is considered a healthy BMI. Above 25, it's considered overweight, and if it's over 30, you're considered to be obese. Now I know that we all in Canada and in India as well for that matter, the standard of measurement system is the metric system that we use. However, some of us, and I think some of you quite likely also, are more familiar to measuring your weight and height in pounds and feet. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples to give you a sense of where you could be or should be. So if you, for example, your height was 5 feet 10 inches, then your ideal weight given to make your BMI between 21 and 25, your ideal weight would be 145 to 170 pounds for 5 feet 10 inches. For 5 feet 3 inches, your ideal weight would be between 118 and 140 pounds. So that there's quite a big range, BMI 21 to 25. So you should fall somewhere within that range, and that would be considered a healthy BMI and a healthy weight. Now, there is another measure which talks about whether you're too big or not, is to say that your waistline should not be more than half your height. So there's another measure to try and figure out whether you're overweight or not. Now, the obesity epidemic or overweight epidemic started back in the 1950s when a physiologist by the name of Ansel Keys did some research, and he said that the problem with overweight is not carbohydrates and sugar, but it's fat. He said fat is the problem. That's what makes people overweight. And so he said all saturated fats are bad, you should not eat fats at all, or reduce them, avoid them, whatever. So he said that is the big problem. That was not true, as it turned out. So over many, many years, half a century, that was the mantra that they followed, and they said, so therefore we have to not eat fat. More recent, in the last couple of decades, the research has now shown that in fact that is not true, but it is really carbohydrates and sugar which are the problems and not fat. Because what happens with carbohydrates and sugar is they convert to glucose. That glucose, if it's used up for energy, that's good. But if it's not, it's saved as fat and it stays there as fat. So that is the reason why obesity or overweight has become a problem, because of wrong beliefs in eating, avoiding fats. They said, as I said earlier, they said all fats, saturated fats are bad. They said that butter, coconut oil and ghee were considered bad. They said that causes a problem. That's completely reversed now. Today they say those three are considered good for you. They help you. And however, trans fats, which are vegetable oil, canola, etc., those kinds of oils are still considered bad. Two oils which are really good today are olive oil and avocado oil. But you have to be careful because olive oil doesn't take a very high temperature. So if you're trying to fry or something, you've got to be careful about that. So that is a little bit about fat and obesity. So we've got to try and make sure we control your carbohydrates and sugar, because they convert to glucose and glucose is stored as fat. Now, let's talk about the quantity and the kind of food one should eat. The kind of food and quantity you should eat depends on certain factors. First of all is your occupation. If you're in a blue-collar job, you need to eat more because you're physically involved, so you need to eat more. And if you are in a white collar job, then obviously you need to eat less. Your age matters. As a growing children, obviously need to eat more. As you get older, your metabolism slows down, so the consumption or requirement of food starts to decrease. So that is important. Now, the best kind of balanced diet would be a balanced diet. You have enough proteins, carbohydrates, fats, etc., but it has to be properly balanced. Whatever you do in terms of quantity of food, one magical word to remember is always moderation. Don't overdo anything. That is critical. The Canada Food Guide now says that 50% of your food consumption should come from fruits and vegetables, 25% from whole grains, and 25% from proteins. It also says clearly that you should drink more water. You should try to avoid juices and pop drinks. Those are not considered good for you. And the amount of consumption that you should have in terms of calories in a day should be between around 1500 to 2000 calories per day. Alright, so now let me talk a bit about when and how much to eat. So first of all, there's a tendency for people to skip breakfast because they don't like to get up early in the morning, except of course our great yoga practitioners who love to get up early in the morning. But other people, they don't want to get up early in the morning. They jump out of bed, they avoid eating, they dive into their clothes and they run off to work. And at night, they have a big meal because lunch again, they're so busy at work they won't eat. That's wrong. That is not a good thing. It is said that you should eat a good breakfast. So they say eat breakfast like a king. You eat your lunch like a common man and your dinner like a pauper. Or it is said you steal your neighbor's breakfast, you share your lunch with him, and you give away your dinner. Okay? So just illustrating the point as to during the day what your eating habits should be. Another rule which was very popular at one time was the ELMO rule, E-L-M-O, which stood for eat less, more often. So it suggested having smaller meals, but eat more frequently. Now, I think that is also a questionable rule. In some cases it may work, in others it may not. Another new, and why I say that is because something that new has come up, which of course has been a religious practice for a long time, is fasting, but in various different ways. Now fasting has become a big thing more recently. There's a book written by a Canadian doctor called Dr. Jason Fung on fasting. Chitra has read that and she's very familiar with it. And it talks about a lot of benefits that you can get from fasting. It can be regular fasting or intermittent fasting. There's another book that has been written by a Dr. Jagannath Dikshit, who's a professor, a medical professor in India. I believe it's in Pune. Is he in Pune? He's somewhere in Maharashtra at any rate. And he has written a book about that. And he promotes the idea of eating 2 meals in a day and to eat those meals within an 8-hour period. And so that you're actually fasting for 16 hours in a day. Okay, so those are very good books. And I should tell you that Chitra and I have been practicing this. Chitra actually practices 4 days a week. She practices the 2 meals a day over 16 hours, which I do for all 7 days. Then the other 3 days she does complete fasting. So we found that has really helped us a lot. It makes us, it invigorates us. It makes us feel good. We don't feel full all the time. And it really has helped us to manage and control our weight. Not that we have a serious weight problem, either of us, but it's helped us to manage and control it well. So we think it's a really good thing. So what are the benefits of fasting or intermittent fasting? Well, it helps people to manage, to lose weight or control your weight. It helps with diabetes, to help control your sugar. And what happens with fasting is that the fat, the glucose in the body, as I said earlier, converts to fat and is stored as such. So what happens is while you're eating and you have glucose available before it's converted to fat and stored, that is the first thing that gets used up for your energy as you need it. Now, when you fast, what happens is that glucose is used up for energy fairly quickly or over some period of time, And then it gets the fat from the body is released to provide the energy that you need to do your tasks. So that is a good way, therefore, of reducing that fat. So that is one way how fasting helps. The other thing is a thing called autophagy. Now, the fasting is supposed to promote autophagy. Autophagy is the rejuvenation of the cells. So generating healthy cells, getting rid of the unhealthy cells in the body, and also generating new stem cells. So that is very important, and that's very helpful in terms of trying to maintain good weight and good general disposition as well. So those are the benefits of fasting. Now I'm going to talk to you briefly about vegetarianism. In our Amiga class, when we run it, some people ask us, do we have to be vegetarians to practice yoga? And we say, no. The answer is that, no, you don't have to be a vegetarian to practice yoga. You don't have to. You're perfectly all right. So is there anything wrong with eating meat, being a non-vegetarian? Not really. There will be some disadvantages, etc. However, in ancient India, it was believed that the human body was designed to be vegetarian. And that conclusion was reached based on 3 observations. And all of them were comparisons to animals. And the first one said that the human jaw is smaller. And all carnivores like lions, etc., have longer jaws. And those longer jaws make it more convenient or easier to chew meat. Whereas the human jaw is smaller, it's more difficult to do so. So that was the first observation. The second one, the observation was that the intestine, the large intestine for human beings is about 20 to 22 feet long. And, sorry, I beg your pardon, the small intestine is 20 to 22 feet long in the human body, whereas for carnivores such as lions and tigers, etc., it's only 2 to 3 feet. So it's more conducive for meat to be processed, whereas in the human body it takes a lot longer to do that. So that was the second observation. And the third observation they made was the manner in which carnivores and herbivores drank water and how human beings drank water. So human beings and herbivores drink water by sucking it, whereas carnivores drink water by using their tongue to go out and transport the water to their mouth to drink it. So they said those 3 differences between carnivores and human beings suggested that the human body was designed to be vegetarian. Okay, and one more thing. It's often said that proteins, if you're a vegetarian, where do you get your proteins from? Well, there's lots of sources of proteins for vegetarians. You obviously have lentils, beans, soya, etc. are available. And if you're not a vegan, eggs are a very good source of protein as well. So it's not an issue. Another thing they said, well, if you don't eat meat, how do you get strength? You need protein, strong meat to get strength. And the answer is, well, look at the animal kingdom again. 2 of the strongest animals and the biggest animals are elephants and horses. They're healthy and they are pure vegetarians. Okay, so in closing, I just want to give you a few what I call important don'ts, do nots. And when I say do nots, I don't necessarily mean don't ever, never, ever, never, but try to avoid these things as much as possible. So let me list them for you. The first one is say avoid crap. Okay, now by crap in this case, I don't mean garbage or rubbish, but of course avoid that as well. But what I say, it's an acronym, crap, in this case. And so what you avoid, C stands for caffeine, avoid caffeine. R stands for refined sugars, obvious one of course for everybody. And A and P are additives and preservatives. So you want to avoid those 4 things, that will avoid crap. The second one is to avoid 3 white powders, and I'm sure everybody knows what they are, or minimize their use. Don't avoid them altogether. Salt, because it causes high blood pressure. If you have high hypertension, then it could make the situation worse. You got to manage and control your sugar, if you're diabetic in particular, or it could cause diabetes. And thirdly, white flour for the same reason, because it converts to sugar and glucose very quickly. The third one is to avoid fried foods. Although, as I said, there are good fats to fry them in. However, when these are heated up, they're not as healthy, even the good fats. So it says to avoid fried foods. Another one is to avoid bakery products. Why? Because bakery products are bekar. They're useless. Okay? Bekar is useless. Another one is to avoid donuts. Why donuts? Donuts are do nots. Why? Because they have three negatives against them. First, they're made from white flour. Secondly, they're fried. And thirdly, they have a lot of sugar. So donuts are do nots. And finally, avoid buffets. Because what happens with buffets is no matter, I know I've done that many a time. I go to a buffet, I start my planning. I'm going to eat little of that, little of that, little of that. Seems to never work out that way. Doesn't matter what you do, always end up overeating. So try and avoid buffets as much as, or buffets as they call them over here, as much as possible. And so therefore in closing, I'd just like to once again quote something from our Guruji at Ambika, one who started Ambika in India. And he used to say, Kam khana, jada chabana, yahi hai tandurasti ka khajana. Translated, that says, eat less, chew more, and that is the way to good health. Yeah, so that concludes my introduction, not to talk on yoga, on food, and Chitra, we go back to yoga now, and Chitra is going to cover two kriyas.
So our next guest has joined, and I'm hoping he will turn on his video so you can soon see him.
Where is he?
But so far, on the
I am already on.
Okay.
Okay, good.
So, so far Kunal has talked about the input, food ingestion. Now I'm going to tell you a couple of kriyas, tell you about two kriyas that help with the output, the elimination process. Yesterday, if you remember, I told you about two other kriyas that you can do to ease constipation and to help with elimination. One was the horse posture, which is called Ashwini Mudra in Sanskrit. And the second one is called Ganesh Dhauti. Ganesh Dhauti means cleansing the rectum by applying castor oil. Okay? So today I'm going to tell you about two more. And the reason I want to tell you very briefly about these two is because I want all your attention on our next guest who is going to demonstrate the two kriyas. And I want you to be able to focus only on him when he is demonstrating. So I'll finish talking very briefly about the two processes. So the first one is called Agni Sar. Now Agni, as you know, means fire, referring to heat. And Sar means cleaning. So Agni Sar means cleansing through heat. So what does it involve? This kriya involves vigorous movement of the stomach while you hold the breath in the exhaled condition. So you completely breathe out, hold that breath, and then you push and pull your stomach in. Push it out and pull it in with equal vigor. That's what the process is, and that's what Jitu is going to show you as soon as I finish talking. So what are the benefits of practicing Agnisar? As you know, the Manipur chakra is here, located near the navel. It's considered the powerhouse of the body because it's a solar plexus. And by activating the Manipur chakra, when we do Agnisar, it helps to improve our digestion. When we do Agnisar, another benefit is that it pushes down fecal matter to the rectum so that it can be eliminated easily. And if you remember the talk on the chakras, you will also remember that there are 72,000 nadis. Nadis are energy channels that crisscross in the lower abdomen here. And obviously when we do the Agnisar, pushing the stomach in and out, those get activated. 100 of those nadis or energy channels are related to the functioning of the heart. 1,000 of them are related to the kidneys. All the rest of them are related to the excretory organs and the digestive system. So you can see that by doing this Agnisar Kriya, it can help with digestion and especially with elimination, getting rid of the waste from our body. The second one that Jitu is going to demonstrate is called Udyan. Ud in Sanskrit means to fly away. So by practicing Udyan, what we are trying to do is to reduce the Apan Vayu. Apan Vayu is the carbon dioxide in the body. And how this Kriya is done, and you will see it, understand it better when he demonstrates. You breathe out completely, hold your breath in the exhale condition, and then you apply and hold 3 locks. And they are held in this order. First, it's the Mool Bandh or the root lock, which entails pulling in your inner muscles. The second lock is called Udyan Bandh or the stomach lock. And in applying the Udyan lock, you pull your stomach in and up towards the diaphragm. And the third lock is the Jalandhar Bandh, which is the chin lock. And how you apply that is by putting your chin down. So in effect, what you're doing is you're closing all the openings in your body. By blocking all of them, what happens to the carbon dioxide in the body is it tries to fly away. Remember? Fly away. Ud means fly. So the carbon dioxide tries to fly and it flutters to fly. And what happens is it mixes with the oxygen in the body and it dissipates. So what we are trying to achieve with Udyan is to balance and unite the oxygen and the carbon dioxide. This Kriya activates, stimulates the Muladhara chakra. Remember, the Muladhara chakra is the root chakra. And all these energy channels are actually closely related to the nervous system. And by balancing the oxygen and the carbon dioxide, we help the general flow of oxygen through the body and the use of the oxygen by the brain. Now there are a few cautions and restrictions. Most people can do these kriyas, but because of the vigor involved in throwing your stomach in and out for the first one, people who suffer from stomach ulcers should not do these kriyas at all. People who are so weak, very thin individuals should not do it. People who have certain stomach diseases should not practice it. And people who suffer from anemia are also restricted from doing this. And the last group that should do this with caution are people who suffer from cardiac issues, heart problems. Because anybody who has cardiac issues should not hold their breath for very long. So people suffering from heart issues should do these with caution, not do them for very long. Okay? So having said that, let me introduce to you our fellow sevak, Jitendra Sagre, we call him Jitu. He is the best at doing these 2 kriyas, Agnisar first and Udyan. Kunal is going to give him the breathing instructions, and Kunal will also explain as Jitu goes into the position to start practicing the first kriya. Kunal is going to explain how he is sitting so that you get an idea and you can watch him. So I think I'm just going to remove ourselves from the spotlight.
See what they can hear you.
Can you all see Jitu perfectly? Okay, all right, great. In that case, carry on, Kunal and Jitu. The floor is yours.
All right, so to practice Agnisar and Udyan, you can sit in the full lotus posture or Padmasana, or you can sit in Ardha Padmasana, which is one foot on top, or you can sit in Sukhasana, which is both feet covered, so to speak, not seen. And so you're familiar with it. They are familiar with that. Okay, Jitu is also showing it there. So now Jitu is going to do it in full Padmasana. Alright? So now to start with, he'll put his hands on his thighs or near his knees. The fingers are in front, where the thumbs are behind the legs. So they're down like that. So that's how he will sit. And now, to start doing Agnisar, you have to breathe out completely. So I'm going to give him the instructions for Purak and Rechak, and he'll follow that. And then after that, Jitu, go ahead and start doing the Agnisar.
And the rest of you just watch what he does.
Alright. Rechak, Purak, Rechak. Now watch his stomach moving very forcefully in and out. You can see that happening. And you can see that his shoulders are not involved in the movement. They're just barely slight movement of the shoulders. It is important not to move your shoulders when you're doing Agnisar. Try to keep them as still as possible. And just focus on the movement of the stomach. That is important.
Now he will stop when he can no longer hold his breath.
So we always say to our students that you stop when you can no longer manage the pushing in and out of the stomach, or you have to breathe. And almost in every single situation, the requirement to breathe comes in before you are tired with your stomach moving in and out. So that's what basically Agnisar is. Now, as I said, some people have a tendency to do this, moving their shoulders vigorously. That's not right. It should be just the stomach movement, no shoulder movement. So that was Agnisar. Now we're going to practice, Jitu is going to show you how to do Udyan, which is the application of the 3 locks that Chitra described. So we'll start with that. Again, the same posture for sitting, hands in the same position as Agnisar. Rechak, Purak, Rechak. Breathe out completely. Now see how his stomach goes right in. You can clearly see the Udyan lock. You can see his chin coming down. So you can see the Jalandhar Bandh, or the chin lock. Obviously what you can't see is the root lock, but you can see those 2 locks. But that is the 3 locks that you apply in practicing Udyan. And once again, when you have to come out of it, you release the stomach lock and then the chin lock. The root lock takes care of itself. Now what I didn't mention is when you apply the locks, you apply the root lock first, then the stomach lock, the Udyan Bandh, and then the Jalandhar Bandh or the chin lock, in that sequence. When you release it, you release the stomach and the chin.
Breathe in.
When you breathe in, you release the stomach lock, the chin lock, and the root lock takes care of itself. Yes, Jitu?
We can show the standing one also, because maybe some people cannot sit.
Yes,
You
good
might
idea.
need to adjust your screen now.
Yeah.
You're standing, yeah.
So as Jitu says that while you can do these in the sitting postures that we talked about, you can also do it standing up.
So I'll give you the instructions. Your throat seems to be a problem. Rechak.
No, first again the fingers.
Hands.
So notice his hands. The fingers are on the inside. The thumbs are on the outside. He's holding just above his knees. And that way he's able to put a little pressure on them when he's actually doing the kriya. Rechak, Purak, Rechak. So he's going to carry on as long as he can hold his breath, and when he can no longer hold his breath, he is going to stop. And so this is, you don't count how many times you do it, you just do it as long as you can to suit your capacity. Now next he's going to show the Udyan. Again, the position is exactly the same. The fingers on the inside, thumbs on the outside, just above the knee. Rechak, Purak, full deep breath. Rechak, complete exhale and then. Note how you can almost see a hole in his stomach. That is the best Udyan and Agnisar in our entire group. And again, he is going to release his stomach lock first, his chin lock next, breathe in, and the root lock takes care of itself. And we'll give Jitu a little time to rest, and then he's going to demonstrate something that is very difficult to do, but he has mastered it. It's
One more thing, Chitra, I would like to show the side view of how you stand. Don't do too much down or don't bend too much down.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the side view.
Okay, good thing. Yeah, thank you, Jitu. And next, Jitu is going to show us side Nauli, but we'll let him rest for a little bit.
While it's resting, I'd like to make one on a slightly lighter note. In our class in Ambika, I always said, don't move your shoulders. So I used to tell them that next class you come, you bring two tunis with you. And you put the two tunis on your shoulders and then you do Agnisar. If at the end of doing Agnisar, if the tunis don't fall, then you can take them home. If they fall, then I'm going to take them home. So I was just trying to make the point, don't move your shoulders while you're doing it.
Okay, and while I'm going to give Jitu a little extra time to rest, and I want to mention to you that Jitu Sagre and his wife Sonali Sagre are both a very important part of our Sevak team that runs the beginners course. One is starting in January, and they will be very important Sevaks. There is a team of about 9 of them, but they are very prominently helpful in running those classes. So if I think now he's ready. So this is just for you to watch.
They met Sonali.
Yeah. You've met Sonali, by the way. She gave us a talk on stress management. But Jitu, you're rested enough?
Yeah, good enough.
Okay, great. Rechak, Purak, Rechak. So what you're noticing is not only has he done a beautiful Udyan, pulling his stomach in and up towards the diaphragm, but now he's moving his internal organs from one side to the other. And this takes usually a long time to master, but he's done it in a very short time. Thank you very much, Jitu.
Thank you, Jitu.
Thank you for giving me chance.
Sorry?
Thank you for giving me chance to demonstrate.
Oh, no problem. We are happy to have you demonstrate because I think you are truly the best at it.
Thank you very much.
Fortunately, we have only 3 minutes for the class to end. So let me give you the thought for the day. When I is replaced by we, even illness becomes wellness. Let me repeat that. When I is replaced by we, even illness becomes wellness. And now before we chant 2 ohms and the prayer to close the practice, I'd like to express my deep appreciation to Jitu for taking the time out to come and demonstrate for us. Thank you very much, Jitu. I think we couldn't have done it any better at all. So you are the most perfect in our entire group, and I'm glad you made the time to demonstrate for my group. Okay, let's sit in Dhyan Mudra. Your right hand in your left palm on your lap. Your back upright, your eyes closed to avoid distraction. Rechak, Purak, Hands in Namaste for the prayer. Now we'll chant the Shanti part. Asato ma satgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityu ma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Rub your palms together, spread the energy over your face, and have a wonderful day. I'll see you next week.